Welcome to First Garden, New Gardener. I'm Joy Barrett. We're up in our squash bed that will soon be planted with butternut squash and Pennsylvania Dutch crookneck squash. Now, these two types of squash would be recommended for a new gardener based on the fact that they have very strong and dense stems that the squash vine borer beetle cannot attack them. You've heard horror stories about squash vine borer beetle going in and eradicating summer squash. They lay their eggs and then they burrow up to the stem and killing the plant. Well, with the butternut squash, it has a very thick stem that the beetle can't lay its eggs. That it doesn't affect it. They can't burrow into the plant. So that would be something that I would recommend planting. And we've got a small bed here. Now these can get very, very large, 20 square feet up to 40 square feet based on the variety and type. We put 2 cubic feet of Sue's certified leaf compost here in the center about a month ago, and as it's rained, it's neutralized the soil. And that's where the center focus of all our planting will be. I've got 3 butternut squash plants, and I've got 4 Pennsylvania Dutch crookneck, and I'm going to quadra them off into the center here where this certified leaf compost is, and it will vine all the way to our peppers and through our potatoes and probably down to our sunchokes. It'll get very large, but I'm okay with that because each plant will particularly give us about 3 to 5 fruits or vegetables or squashes off of it, however you want to term it. So we're going to add, and I'm not going to turn the soil over. We've flipped it over in the past. We've added this certified leaf compost, and I'm just going to plant right into it. Before I plant into it, now I've started these seeds about 1 week ago inside, and the reason I did that was to make sure we have good germination. Just because you buy seeds, and it doesn't matter where you buy them from, there's going to be seeds that are not going to sprout or germinate or be viable. So I want to make sure that when we plant them that we get to make sure the plant comes up, because we've got a limited amount of time here to grow things in southeast Wisconsin, and I want to make sure that what we grow is successful. So I'm going to take, and it doesn't matter how I plant these because once they vine and produce, we'll know what they are. And put one right there. This one here is a butternut that is just now coming through. I'm going to go ahead and plant that there. Yeah, they're very close together. In the perfect scenario, we would only put 1 plant here, but I'm trying to maximize my capabilities of growing as much as I can in a very limited space. So by putting 6 here, 7 plants, whatever I got here, 7 plants, I can have a better chance of getting something out of this bed. Here was one here that didn't germinate, and that's a good reason why you want to. Well, it is germinating, but it's very, very slow to come up compared to everything else. It had the same amount of light under the grow light. It had the same amount of water and the same type of soil. So I wouldn't plant this because there's something internally wrong with it. It's a bad seed, let's call it. So I will just toss that to the side and work with the seeds and the starts that I have that are very, very healthy. Because you want to start with healthy seeds. Otherwise, if you put a sickling seed like that in there, whatever causes that seed, there could be a disease, there could be problems. You want to focus on the healthiest ones. So it's real easy. Now, if you wanted to start these from seed outside, that perfectly would work. You just want to make sure the air and soil temperature is above about 55, 60 degrees minimum. And we're just going to plop them right in, get them planted, and then we'll come back and water them in real good. Okay, so I got them all planted. I'm going to water them in. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is if you're planting winter squash, it doesn't mean it grows in the winter. That's a misconception. What winter squash, that term means it stores very well into winter. Summer squash doesn't store very well. That's your black zucchini, your yellow zucchini, your crookneck zucchini. It doesn't have a very long shelf life. Winter squash takes a much longer time to grow. These will take about 80 to 110 days based on the variety you have. But once you harvest them, then they can keep in your root cellar or your basement or a cool, dry spot in your kitchen for a much longer period. We've had some that it's actually stored for over a year. Now it's recommended about 8 months is about the shelf life, 6 to 8 months that you want to eat them, and the longer you let them store, the more nutritional value gets lost in it. But it's something you want to keep in mind when growing summer squash or winter squash. So we'll just get these watered in real good. They're in a nice sunny location. And if all goes well and we've done our job and we'll let nature take over from here, we will have some butternut squash in about 100 days. I'm Joey Barrett. Thanks for watching. This has been First Garden, New Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewIsconsinVegetableGardener.com.